Path Peddler is here to chronicle the first to Mack and Back poker run to benefit the trail system here in northern Michigan. Cyclists will enjoy a 25-mile ride and vie for prizes. Perrone Vineyards is the host and sponsor. Jerry and Jane Perrone, owners of the Vineyard and farmhouse stay, graciously came up with this inaugural event and are donating all proceeds to the Top of Michigan Trails Council. Riders start here at the farmhouse and ride the Northwestern State Trail from Levering to Mackinaw City, gathering their poker cards. In Mack City, riders can leisurely enjoy lunch, view the sights, and shop a little before returning to Perrone Vineyards by the same route. While in Mack City, we'll take in Michilmackinac State Historic Park, touring both the Michilmackinac Fort and the Old Pointe Light House. This episode is sponsored by Perrone Vineyards and Farmhouse Stay. Modern, comfortable accommodations in a quiet country setting will have you coming as friends, but leaving as family. Some cyclists got an early start to get to the vineyard, some to participate in the ride, and others to volunteer to man the poker card pickup sites. Registration was handled by volunteers from Top of Michigan Trails Council. After registering and receiving their playing record, riders picked their first playing card at Perrone's. Bill Prall, a volunteer and a seasoned bike mechanic, lent his technical expertise to all participants.
There's a lot of moving parts inside these shift levers, so just shoot it right in where you've got a gap, and the silicone will get in there. The other thing it'll do, if you pull this lever back, you can get this straw right up into this housing area here, so you can keep that freed up so that doesn't rust your cable inside of there, and it'll work your levers a lot easier too. So your shift levers and your brake levers, you can use silicone on all that. Any pivot points, like on your brakes here, this pivot point, the front derailleur, there's a lot of hinges and pivots in here. Give that some silicone. These jockey wheels, there's only a bushing inside of there, not a bearing. So you're going to want to lubricate that as well. Again, here's a pivot point on the brake. A little bit on there. If we can get it into the cable housing and into the inner wire of the cable in here, that'll keep it from freezing up and rusting up, which is pretty common. Again, right into where the wire, the inner wire comes out of the housing. Shoot that in there and it'll get up in there. And this is not a fancy bike lube. That's a $5 can of silicone from the hardware. It's all you need. This works really well.
With bikes tuned up and poker recording cards in hand, players headed off to find the trail. Just a short way south from the vineyard on Highway 31, we turned right onto Levering Road. Just a hop, skip, and well, there's the trail. Northwestern State Trail is crushed limestone almost the whole way to Mackinaw City. You can see it was very pleasant and scenic. The Northwestern State Trail is one of several trails that crisscross the top of the Lower Peninsula of Michigan. The Top of Michigan Trails Council, along with an army of volunteers and stakeholders, has created many miles of trails to ride, showcasing beautiful scenes of lakes and sand dunes, woods, and wildlife. Earlier in the week, I sat down with the host of this event. I'm sitting with Jerry Perrone of Perrone Vineyards to tell us all about his business. Jerry, thank you so much for just doing this event. And let's talk about Perrone Vineyards. What's your background?
Well, my background is that I was the very first person in Emmett County to put cold, hardy American grapevines into Emmett County. So, and I had the very first winery, and that's my background. We've been making wine since 1994, 1995. And the wine that we make is 100% from cold hardy American, genetically adjusted, horticulturally enhanced, patented varietals with names like K. Gray, Elvira. And I do teach viticulture and enology at North Central Michigan College, which has an excellent program available for just about everybody that gives you background on not only making wine, but how to plant the particular types of grapes that are best suited for the zone you're in.
And tell us a little bit about the farmhouse stay here, where we're at.
Well, the stay is for family, and once you walk through the doors, you are family here, and you're treated like family. It's convenient to just about everywhere. It's right on 31, and it has views to die for, plus wildlife everywhere. We are a sanctuary for the monarch butterfly and for the red-winged blackbird.
Well, and speaking of the location for tourists, we are, this is Levering, Michigan, so we're not far from Mackinaw City.
Only a couple of minutes.
And also Petoskey.
It's about 33 miles to Petoskey
but
from here.
But still, pretty good location to Petoskey and Harbor Springs and even Charlevoix, all of that
convenient,
area.
the roads are fast. And we're here just about year round. So it's really convenient.
And for cyclists, you are right in the middle of all the trails of northern Michigan.
It's unbelievable. The trails are absolutely magnificent.
Well, you're right beside the Northwestern State Trail.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we've got that Central Trail close by, Little Traverse Bay, or Little Traverse Wheelway Trail is close. And of course, Mackinaw City has a lot of cycling. And speaking of cyclists, now let's talk about the poker run.
Oh, well, we're offering a poker run on the 17th, which is, I believe, tomorrow.
Yep.
And it's going to be 5 locations. It's for fun. There isn't any, you've got to be there first in order to get...
no racing.
There's no racing. Just take your time, and we're putting you in locations where you actually can sit around and go to the fort. You can walk up and take great pictures of the lighthouse, and we're going to have food and snacks and stuff.
Yes, you're offering food here after the run, the poker run is over. So it's really kind of a day-long event. You planned it so that you could take your leisurely ride to taking the Northwestern State Trail, ride up to Mackinaw City and kind of hang out there and then come back. And Jerry, you are graciously donating all the proceeds to?
Trail Council will be the sole beneficiary of everything that we do here today. And of course, that's exceedingly important that they get funds to expand what they do and the important work that they do complete for us.
Thank you so much, Jerry.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate your time here and your hospitality.
It's been very nice having you guys as family.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We are just nearing Carp Lake. However, it's now known as Lake Paradise. I guess that's because there are no more carp in it. It's hard to change old habits, so locals still call it Carp Lake. Why am I telling you this? Because our second card draw was at the Carp Lake General Store.
I got another one. That's what I had last time. It was a King of Diamonds.
You got
So you have to put it back in and give a different one.
I do, really? It's no duplicate.
Yeah, no duplicates. So if they draw the same card,
That
they
one.
have to put it back.
Good.
Yeah. Well, because in real poker, you wouldn't get that.
That's true.
Yeah.
I've played so much.
You were cheating. You were setting those cards up. That's a lousy card.
Well, you know what? Only people have only picked lousy cards. Where's your sheet?
Only 5 miles into the ride, and Dale's already got the munchies.
The giant marshmallows. The small ones are okay, but the giant ones are perfect.
Okay.
Hello.
Interesting.
Everybody poo-poos them until you're like riding and you're like, oh, I'm really hungry, and then all of a sudden, like,
Another one. Yes. We need Becca needs takers.
Purple.
Jack of hearts.
All right. You got a
No,
sheet?
we don't know what my flavors. We know what my color. Purple, orange, and yellow. Any others? Any other takers?
Back to the trail. There's our own Dwight Klein. Rarely seen on camera up close, he's our technical support, cameraman, trail resource, bike mechanic, you name it. It's widely accepted that the game of poker originated in New Orleans in the early 1800s. It started out with 4 people using a 20-card deck betting against each other. The French designed the suits in the playing cards that we use today, and they represent 4 medieval classes of people. Clubs are peasants, diamonds are for merchants, spades represent nobility, and hearts are the clergy. Motorcyclists have enjoyed poker run events for decades. I guess they started out when the plain old group ride got boring. Ride organizers needed to add something fun to do along the way. Just about every other mode of transportation and exercise discipline has adopted the poker run as a fun event to incorporate into their activity. Looks like we're rolling into Mackinaw City. Our next pickup is at the trailhead.
Ready.
It's a red card.
7 of spades.
Oh, you
got a pair.
Another
7 of
7.
clubs.
Oh, nice. Hi.
Hi.
How's the ride going? Yeah.
Cards look good.
Oh, you got
I got 2. Let's forget that. I don't want to. Oh.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw you.
You got yours
All
as
right,
3.
wait.
Here is where the Northwestern State Trail meets the North Central State Trail. We then rode on to Audie's restaurant for another card.
You know what? Actually, it's blessed that we got a little rain because
It's
I'm just
easy.
gonna want to be in a
right in front of
variety.
me. Well, we're on spades.
Don't sell yourself short, man.
6 of spades.
4 clubs.
There's 4 clubs.
I should have buried it for you.
Oh, you know what? Oh, it's 4 diamonds.
6 of spades.
Now I have 3 diamonds.
What you got?
4 diamonds.
4 diamonds.
Now I have 3
I like
diamonds.
enthusiasm.
I love diamonds.
Mack City is steeped in history because of its location on the Straits of Mackinac, where Lake Michigan meets Lake Huron.
No, we can do whatever we want.
Ace of clubs.
All right.
I told you I wanted that.
Oh.
Got a pair of aces, baby.
Oh, that's pretty
No, I
good.
did not cheat. Last time I didn't pick the top one, I picked the bottom one, and I got a 6.
Them up.
You paired up though, didn't you?
Okay, I'll have one. I'll be quick.
You might have to hide.
Okay, there we go.
All right, I want my free bike.
So now I have a 2, 3, and a 4. All right.
Got a straight.
Get an ace, maybe you go.
Now that we've drawn all our poker cards, it's time to see the sights. Mackinaw City is a small town packed with lots to see and do. I'm with Craig Wilson, who's the curator of history here at the Mackinaw State Historic Parks. And Craig, tell us a little bit about these places where we are right now.
Right, so right now we are in Michilmackinac State Park, right here along the shoreline of the Straits of Mackinac in Mackinaw City. And that contains 2 historic sites. And right now we're at Colonial Michilmackinac, which is a reconstructed 18th century fortified fur trading village, which is a mouthful. It's a fort. It's a town that was a center of the Great Lakes fur trade. A little bit further down the beach, we also have the old Old Pointe Light House, which is an original structure that helped guide sailors through the Straits of Mackinac here.
Yeah, and beautiful to be right along the water.
It is, yeah. The state park here stretches again for a little over a mile along the straits here. Again, beautiful views of the water. The fort is right here on the water. The lighthouse is obviously right on the water.
Yeah.
We get great views of the Mackinac Bridge as well as whatever's going on out on the lake.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what we'll see inside the fort.
So here at the fort, we're recreating the whole community as it would have appeared about 250 years ago. So we have soldiers doing musket and cannon firing demonstrations, but we are talking about the entire civilian population as well. So we have cooking and craft demonstrations. We have a variety of different tours talking about everything from what people were wearing to what women were doing here. We have an ongoing archaeological program, and we've got a lot of hands-on activities as well for people to really, get the feel of what it was like here in the past.
So,
My name is Lynn Evans. I'm the Curator of Archaeology here at Mackinaw State Historic Parks. And here at Colonial Michilmackinac, we have been doing archaeology every year, every summer since 1959. It's one of the longest projects of its kind in the nation. And every place that you see a building here, we have done this process first. That's how we know where the buildings were located, what they look like, and how they were used.
Canoes. Well, voyagers such as myself are going to load up with over 7,000 pounds of goods and people and head this way from Montreal. It's going to take them about 6 weeks. Once they arrive and unload those things, they'll load up with furs. That is the main industry here, particularly beaver furs, and head back to Montreal another 6 weeks.
Well, it would have been more of a repair center than a place to make items. And the number one thing that they're fixing here are the weapons from the 18th century. This is the inside of one of the soldiers' guns. And this kind of small, meticulous work is something that most people don't think about when they think about blacksmiths, but that's what's breaking the most in this type of community. There are very few horses up here. There are not a lot of farms up here, but there are a lot of soldiers, a lot of Native American warriors, and there's lots of teeny tiny parts.
Well, in the 1770s, they're going to be making their money based off of beef fur trade. So that is stuff that we have right over here. They're trading blankets, guns, pots, pans for these guys. But you guys can feel free to touch this if you would like. This is a beaver fur, and that is going to be shipped back to Europe to make hats. That's what these are being used for then.
I'm impressed by the number of buildings inside.
Sure, we've got, I believe it's about 14 buildings. It's a reconstruction and we're not done yet. So we're only about 60% reconstructed just inside the fort. There would have been buildings all through the park out here as well. So it's an ongoing process.
You also have a cannon that shoots off. Is that daily?
It is, yep. We will fire that every day, usually about once a day. We've got some other artillery pieces we demonstrate as well. Again, just recreating daily life here at Michilmackinac.
Hurry, cover him. And the lighthouse, tell us about that.
Sure, the lighthouse is original. That lighthouse went into operation in 1892, operated for the next 65 years, again, guiding vessels through the Straits of Mackinac here. Today we have it restored as a maritime museum. You can go up the tower. We've got a variety of other exhibits, and we have a whole museum dedicated to Straits of Mackinac shipwrecks there as well.
Yeah, that's really good. I enjoyed that. And how do you cater for cyclists if we bring our bike here?
So you can ride up directly to our visitor center, which is actually underneath the Mackinac Bridge. You can park right there, and that's a great place to enter either Colonial Michilmackinac or the Old Mackinaw Point Light House.
Great. Thank you so much, Craig.
Yeah,
appreciate your time.
For an inaugural event, everyone involved gave positive reviews. From the length of the ride, to the sightseeing, to the camaraderie gained. It truly was a great day. Back at Perrone's farmhouse stay, Jerry and Jane treated everyone to a hot meal and, of course, wine tasting, accompanied by Jerry's expert lesson in Michigan wines.
Okay, to a successful bike ride, to a successful poker run, to a successful day, and may each of you have good health in the future between now and the next poker run.
Thank you, and you. Salute.